Welcome back to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. This is episode 60. Today is August 6th, 2020. And coming up on the weekend, I want to start off with Robert Kirkman's Firepower today. This is an Image Comics put out by Skybound. If you're familiar with Robert Kirkman, he is the Walking Dead writer. So he's been around for a few years, and he's also one of the head guys now at Image. Came into Image after it had originally been started, so he's a kind of a late addition to the Image staff. Now this comic, I feel a little ripped off, to be honest with you, because I just realized or found out that this was a free comic book day comic. And I paid $4 for this when I could have got it free. Now, I don't know if it's the same version of this, if it is the complete edition this is, or if it's shorter and less expensive paper used to manufacture it. So it's about a 30-page comic, so that's not bad for $4. The artwork is pretty good. It's nothing fantastic, nothing super detailed or anything like that, but it is competent. And the coloring was great. It's fine. My big beef with this is it takes forever to get started. And I'll tell you why. Even this 30 pages, the first 14 pages or so is getting ready for a backyard cookout to invite the neighbors over and some of the in-laws and whatnot. And what I can glean from this is the lead character here, Owen, is father. He's got a son and a daughter, and his wife is a police officer. Well, he's like a used furniture salesman or something like that. So he's got kind of the nothing job. And so it kind of just starts out, they're getting ready for this barbecue, and they have no hot dog buns, so he takes his daughter to the store, then they walk there, and apparently he's got some special powers. And from what I understand, there was a prelude story that was like $9 or $10, kind of like a trade type paperback, zero issue, if so to be, of Firepower, and it kind of talks about him growing up and learning these skills, jumping, all these ninja type skills, but he also has mystical supernatural power as well, which we'll find out later. But the first 14 pages of this thing is spent getting ready for the cookout, having the cookout. They go to the store, they buy the buns. There is a short point where he meets up in the store with somebody from his past. And as you can tell, I hate when they do this. They use the same panel twice. I just hate it. And they do it here too, over here. But, okay, he's angry there to see this guy. Well, he's still angry. And then he's still angry here, and he's still angry. But at least this guy changed his position a little bit, I guess. But he's telling him he wants to talk to him tonight at midnight on the football field of their old high school, basically. So we wade through all this pages of dialogue. And you can see his daughter looks pretty Asian, which his wife is, I believe, Anglo-Saxon, white. So it's kind of funny that she looks more Asian than he does. He looks kind of normal. Anyway, the in-laws show up. These are the adoptive parents of Owen. Owen was adopted at some point. I'm not sure how that all worked out. And his father is criticizing the way he's cooking. The other cop, his wife's partner, is criticizing Owen's lack of being a physical specimen, basically. And even the kids are kind of putting him down a little bit. Even though he has all these powers and abilities that no one knows about. And you can see that the neighbors and family come over, it is very, very much United Nations here. A little bit of everything. I think if you look hard enough, you could probably hit every alphabet and also every race available in this picture here. So anyway, this cookout goes on forever. It's more, you know how boring your own cookouts can be. Well, this is even more boring. And it just goes on and on. They're talking. They really don't develop anything. Just they say, the parents say they're proud of the son, and it gets later that night, and it turns out there's somebody up in the trees watching them mysteriously, and I guess he's got some kind of infrared mask, or that's the reflection. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a reflection since the leaves are in front. I don't know. So he puts the kids to bed. The wife has an early shift. She goes to bed. He says he's going to watch TV, and he sneaks out of the house in his Prius. Nice quiet car to get away in. Hops the fence, of course, no problem. Meets up with this guy. And I have a little problem here because they talk about 3 characters really quickly in here, but there's no reference to them unless it was in that prelude. I don't know if they're going to show up again. One of the characters is actually a woman who's dead. And the people back at the temple where he used to train are blaming him, Owen, for the death of this woman. So this guy is begging him to come back. And as you can see, there's not really anything really going on that looks thing, but it doesn't take much to trigger Owen, because the next page, you get 2 pages of this fight suddenly just breaking out. Makes no sense, but he shows some of his kung fu moves, and they're both taking hits on each other, and this guy gets a good kick in. So anyway, towards the end of this bout, Owen decides to use his fireball, kind of like the Dragon Ball Z type fireball, once he's got the other guy down. And instead of unleashing it on him, he shoots it out into the sky. And so the guy says, leave. I don't want to talk. Owen tells him to leave. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not going back to the temple. We know he's going to end up going back to the temple at some point. It's just inevitable, since this is a cartoon. This is probably going to go on forever. So Owen goes back home after they hug. The guy says, you better just leave. And goes back home, checks on the kids, gets into bed. He's laying there, and then he realizes something's up. It turns out there's that ninja that was in the tree is up there, and that's how the story ends, basically. And he's suddenly aware that someone's in the room. So I'm assuming this leads to the second issue, what we see here, since she's wearing kind of the same thing he is here. So I'm assuming that's it. A little thing about Kirkman here, a little question and answer type thing. This might be a little different. There's actually a sketchbook gallery in here from the artist. Now, this artist isn't exactly earth-shaking, he's no Scott Campbell or Adam Hugh or so. It is nice that they included this, but it shows some of these other iterations of the main character. He's dressed in this parka and stuff, and I believe that's from the Prelude story, the Zero edition, which was like $10. The story itself really didn't get me that excited. I'm sure there's going to be more to it. This is the master, I guess. Well, he's got his name Wen Lu there. Okay, so they're naming some of the people that were mentioned. But yeah, you have those 2 pages where there's the fighting. You have the 2 pages where they mention 3 characters very quickly, but there's no physical reference to them that you can see who they're talking about. You don't know if it's a man or a woman. One of them is a woman. You kind of figure that out. But there's not a lot here. For 30 pages, you think the story would have got further along, but they spend so much time at that cookout. It kind of distracts from everything that's going on. I hope you can see this well. I got centered. So it's hard for me to really recommend it. Here's his kids. There's his wife. I have no idea who that is. It's pretty buff, though. their dog. It's like, okay, and there's the fireball from the cover, basically. So that's the first issue. Nothing really exciting on the back either. It's just this. So it's hard for me to recommend it. I know Robert Kirkman is a very good writer, so I would expect more in the future. Maybe that prelude had more in it that was a little bit more interesting than this. But my gosh, it was 14 pages of a cookout. That's way too much. And the action was way too short, and there wasn't enough explanation of why that was even going on. It's just very, very brief. And there's a ninja in the bedroom at the end. So, man, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stories that are coming out all at once now because the COVID thing has let up a little and the publishers are going crazy. So I don't know if this is even worth your time to go. Maybe the trade is worth looking at once they have 5 or 6 issues under their belt. And you can see where this is going if you like it or not. Now, he does not look that Asian to me, but apparently he's supposed to be Asian. So not sure what to make of that exactly. Anyway, sorry I don't have better review than that, but I just kind of stunned that that's what we ended up with after 30 pages. So everybody, you're gonna have to make your own decision on this one. I can't really recommend it at this point. I might take a look at the second issue at the store, see if it's worth buying, but right now I'm not recommending it. So thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe, please like, please leave comments. I also have an alternate channel called Arch Rival that has just started up last month, and I have a few videos out there on there. It might be of interest. It's kind of everything. Obviously, Indie Comics Jones is nothing but comic book reviews and comic industry things. But yeah, you might be interested in that, so please check that out as well. So this is Indie Comics Jones signing off from the Temple of Tomes. Have a good evening.